Um, I feel like for all of us who are here, some of us are naturally born citizens and some of us are naturalized citizens. Um, I wanted to say that we have arrived and we belong to this country by choice. This is something that we come to do. I came here when I was 17 years old. And right now, I have been able to achieve many things, but one of the things I'm more proud of than anything is being a credentialed teacher by California's credential system. And it is an honor for me to have been part of a journey where I teach citizenship to immigrant adults who have come here looking for a better life and who are here dreaming of the American dream to become US citizens. When I ask the students, why do you want to be a US citizen? The number one answer is for freedom, to make a better life. And if you think back at the Pilgrim story that came here from another place, they were coming here for freedom. So what makes us come to another country and belong to this country and serve this country? We have a better life because we have a system of government that was created by the initial people who arrived here, based on the Native American model of system of governance that was in New York, where several tribes have come together to have a collaborative form of government. So what we have here is rights based on the Constitution, and I tell them and explain that to them. What is their oath of loyalty to this new country? What are their rights living in this new country? Now, we get them through the US Constitution, the rule of law, yes, but what does that mean as far as your involvement? We have through that document the rights of a voter. We vote for our government. We vote to make a better life through the government. We vote because we want to elect people in government that can help us achieve that better life. But you need to know how to get involved with that government. For example, 100 years ago, we celebrate today the actual archiving certification of the 19th Amendment, the right for women to vote. People say, oh, women got the right to vote. Women didn't get the right to vote. We fought and won the right to vote. So we had the majority of states that needed to certify it, and it became certified by the legislators, and it got to become the 19th Amendment. But now we have another amendment. It should be now the 28th Amendment, and it's the Equal Rights Amendment, another fight where women are involved in getting what we call equal rights in many sectors to make a better life. How are we doing this? By exercising our First Amendment. Like the suffragists said in 1920, they marched, they petitioned their government, they actually had peaceful demonstrations. What are we doing right now? We're marching, we're petitioning our government, we have peaceful demonstrations. Well, those are guaranteed rights in our Constitution. So I wanted to say today, my journey was one where I came here for a better life. I wanted to have education. Now, when I was here, I was asked to help. I ran for office and had 3 terms of 4 years. I came in without knowing what that meant really, but then I found out the power of being a voter and to be voted into office. My journey was about representing the immigrant. I was the Latina immigrant that came in to defeat the man who was in office, who was the president. He was a white man. It was an impossible thing years and years ago. And it happened not because of me necessarily, but because the people behind me were actually wanting the change and voted the change in. It is important for us to understand that each one of us, whether you are a born here citizen or a naturalized citizen, you need to be part of that involvement. My call of action for all of us today is for us to be aware of the power that that vote holds in everyday's life. We keep hearing vote, vote, but vote is actually a piece of that freedom that we all want to hold on to. When we vote, we make a little more strength in our lives for that freedom to happen. What do I want to ask all of us, women, men, young people? Please get involved in redressing your government. If something is not working, put people into office that can make better laws, that can enforce better laws, that can make a law that maybe is not even thought of, that we have to need for the future, for example, for climate change. We have something yet to do and it's right in front of us. So as a naturalized citizen, as an elected official in the past, I would like to call for you to have your vote be your freedom. That is what I want to ask you. So you have a choice. And as a teacher, I would say that is your homework. Thank you. Get going.
Marta, thank you very much for that very inspiring story. Yes, just wonderful. Our next speaker will be Pamela Jones, who's going to talk to us about what to expect with our November election, the new ballot process. As a lifelong member of working in this community, especially in civic engagement, she's a member of the Voter Engagement and Outreach Committee for the County of San Mateo. And so Pam, welcome, and thank you very much for being here.
Good morning, and thank you, President Groom. I will be sharing with you about voting and civic engagement in San Mateo County. I'd like to remind us, though, our form of government is rooted in the Iroquois Confederacy of Nations founded in 1142. The Iroquois community women nominate and install the chief leaders and then fulfill their responsibility. Not all women got to vote in the past 100 years. 1952 is when all Asian ancestry women received a vote. 1962 is when all Native people, women, received the right to vote. And we know that African American voters, women, were subjected to various forms of voter suppression until the 1965 Voting Rights Act, and which protected all voters from creative and violent voter suppression, which continues to reinvent itself today. We are founded on 800 years of a firm foundation. We may not have a more perfect union, but with all its failings, voting is our voice, and every eligible voter must be registered and fully supported to vote. San Mateo County has over 400,000 registered voters. In the March primary election, turnout was less than 50% of the registered voters, with the lowest turnout in non-white working class neighborhoods, as well as the 18 to 25-year-old group. Here in San Mateo County, we have the opportunity to register vote on election day at any vote center. Vote centers have replaced polling places. They offer many additional services such as language assistance, accommodations for people with disabilities, and same-day registration. There will be 45 vote centers throughout the county. You have access at any vote center in San Mateo County. Ballots will be mailed October 5th, and as soon as you receive your ballot, you can fill it out and return it in the envelope provided, which is postage paid. Be sure to sign the outside of the envelope. This is one of the most common problems with rejected ballots is the lack of signatures. All ballots postmarked by November 3rd in the elections office 17 days after the election will be counted. If you prefer not to use the Postal Service beginning October 5th, drop off your ballot at any of the 37 secure drop boxes throughout the county or vote in person at 3 vote centers. The 3 vote centers that open October 5th are located at the elections office on Tower Road, downtown Redwood City, and the South San Francisco Main Library. Today, check your registration and update if necessary. Go to SMC current information and everything you ever wanted to know about voting in San Mateo County. The VOC worked with the elections. This landing page is a simple guide for all voting information. We now have secure voting machines, Dominion Democracy Suite with a voting marking tablet. Video online in Chinese, Spanish, and English at smcvote.org FAQ. So about the Voter Education and Outreach Committee, fondly known as the VIOC. San Mateo County was one of the first counties to implement the Voters' Choice Act for the June 2018 primary election. An implementation requirement was public engagement as to vote center locations, drop box locations, and voter outreach plans. The VIOC was created to fill this requirement and officially established in mid-2018. Co-chaired by members from Thrive Alliance and San Francisco People Power, it consists of 25 organizations and individuals representing their neighborhoods. We are very diverse local group and continue to expand our participants. VIOC has been an invaluable partner in advising the elections office on messaging materials, vote center location, and signs directing people to vote. We advocated to the Board of Supervisors for additional funding for outreach that created a substantial grant money for targeted outreach for both the 2020 primary and the 2020 general election. Our Board of Supervisors is committed to providing resources for voter outreach to eligible voters and guaranteeing every resident has the opportunity to vote. VIOC members work together to ensure messaging and successful outreach techniques such as targeted language, translations, and social media to reach traditionally underrepresented residents throughout San Mateo County. According to the information on the county website, VIOC's work is centered around giving the people a reason to register and vote, and that's what we work very hard to do. We know that issues may be decided on just a few votes, so every vote counts. No one needs to understand and vote on every item on the ballot for their vote to count. Educating voters also includes providing written and online links to materials to find out more information on candidates and measures. Voters Edge is a nonpartisan website operated by the League of Women Voters. It is one such invaluable resource. It is important to know that one of the most common reasons, as I said before, for rejected ballots are late ballots and a missing or mismatched signature. Please double check your registration today. Election office staff make it a high priority to verify signatures and contact voters when there are problems. They want to make sure every vote counts. Voting plan: when you're going to vote, how you're going to vote, and where you're going to vote. Living in San Mateo County, we have no excuse. Less than 100% of eligible voters registered in voting. For that reason, each one of us must take the time to have the conversation to encourage registering and voting, especially with the people who traditionally do not vote. We need to give support to our relatives and friends in other states who are faced with voting challenges that we cannot even imagine. We need every eligible voter to vote. The 18 to 15-year-olds are voting at a slightly higher rate, but well below older voters. We need to improve that. Even old enough to vote, you can pre-register at 16 and work at a vote center through the county's Student Democracy Program. There are also jobs found under elections jobs on the county website. Important dates: Census 2020 collection ends September 30th. Ballots mailed out beginning October 5th. Drop off or vote in person at any one of 3 vote centers beginning October 5th. The last day to register online and receive a ballot is October 19th. Beginning October 31st, you can return your ballot or physically vote at any of 145 additional vote centers. You will need with smcvote.org for the location. You'll also be able to do ballot tracking and find out the wait time at vote centers. Hours at the vote centers are 9 to 5, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on election day. If you choose to vote in person, vote on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or early Tuesday. Remember, the earlier you vote, the sooner your vote will be counted. If someone drops off your ballot, not be paid on a per ballot basis, fill out the authorized section found on the outside of the envelope. The one-stop link, as I keep saying, for the most up-to-date information and accurate information for San Mateo County is smcvote.org. If you live outside San Mateo County, check your elections office website. They all have all the information that they have in order to be an informed voter. Remember to have a voting plan. When are you going to vote? How are you going to vote? When to vote. This is our voice. We have choices. Vote. Thank you very much.
Pam, thank you very much for that really good, that excellent information. And as we said at the beginning, there's nothing you can do that's more important than voting. And now, I mentioned earlier that this little show is being presented by the Women's Community Leadership Network, a group formed about 7-8 years ago. And I want you to meet some of our board members who are going to talk about how important it is to vote and their view of voting. And so we will kick it off with a longtime council member from the city of Redwood City, Alicia Aguirre.
Thank you, Carol. It's an honor to be in this panel and to hear my colleagues speak. Two former teachers, one colleague, Pamela Jones, and I were teaching together at Kenyatta College, and our relationship was very important. We were always talking about these issues on campus and how important it is. And Marta, great to see you, and what a great role model you are for Latina women. So thank you for all the work you've done. And I can't express the challenges that we've had as women to get to where we are, not only as leaders, elected officials, but the challenges that others have had too, and how we can make it easier. I think my whole mantra has been bring other women forward. Now more than ever, this election is so important to all of us, to not just in Redwood City, San Mateo County, but in our country. And so how do we do this and make sure that we get other women there and bring those women forward and reaching out to the young women that are not sure why they should vote. I've spoken to other women who say, I don't know if I should run. This is a challenge. And how do we encourage them? How do we do that tap on the shoulder and bring them forward so that they are champions for voting as well? So I want to thank my colleagues on the board with me. It's amazing work that we're able to do. And I'm so proud because when I look at the ballots and the people running, we have more women running this year than we've had in years before. So I want to thank all of the organizations that are doing that, whether it's WIRE, WCLN, Emerge, all of the groups that are saying, let's get these women elected. And how can we do that? It's by being the role models, by being out there, by reaching out and doing all the things that the county is doing. There was a question, the county is doing a lot of great things for voting. What are we doing as cities? You know, it's mentioning at every city meeting that you have, it's making sure that we have stations in our cities to make it easier for folks to vote, and also to bring out the marginalized, the ones that are afraid to come out to vote, for all the reasons that Pam Jones mentioned. We really have to make sure and put that in our social media and say you can vote. It's easy in California. Thank God it's easy in California, but they're still afraid, and there's fear because of all the fear mongering that's been going on. I encourage women to vote. I'm proud of the women that are out there putting themselves out, because that's the only way we're going to lead. So thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Next, Audrey Ng, former San Mateo Foster City School Board trustee. Audrey, welcome.
Thank you, Carol. Good morning, and thank you for joining our celebration of Women's Equality Day. Women won the right to vote in 1920, yet despite the 19th Amendment, many women were still disenfranchised. Minority women and minority men were prevented from voting by local officials who refused to register them, who demanded payment of poll taxes that whites did not have to pay, and who administered onerous literacy tests to Blacks that whites would have failed. Growing up, we all learned about segregation. That was part of our history, a distant past. When civil rights icon Representative John Lewis passed away last month, we were reminded just how recently it was that we had segregated schools and lunch counters, that the right to vote was denied to millions. These discriminatory laws and attitudes were specifically directed at Blacks, but they were used against all minorities. Congress commissioned and paid to build the Transcontinental Railroad. It was hard manual labor and very dangerous. Thousands of workers were needed, but only a few hundred white men signed up. So in the West, the railroad company reluctantly hired Chinese. The Chinese workers were paid half that of white workers. While white men lived in train cars, Chinese were forced to live in tents in weather that ranged from freezing cold winters to scorching hot summers. Chinese were beaten and whipped, and white men were not. In 1867, 3,000 Chinese workers went on strike, demanding equal pay and better conditions. After 8 days, the men got a small bump in pay, and the corporal punishment stopped, and that was it. The reward for doing all this dangerous work was the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. This was the nation's first law that restricted immigration based on race and country of origin. Not only did it ban immigration from China, it prohibited Chinese immigrants from becoming naturalized citizens and denied citizenship to their American-born children. 10 years later, in 1892, the law was extended, and Chinese are now required to register with the government and carry special documentation. Mabel Ping Hua Lee helped lead a women's suffrage parade in New York in 1912. She was only 16 years old and already an activist. But since she was Chinese, she was not a citizen and would not benefit from the right to vote that she was fighting for. She persisted. She wanted to improve the lives of women. She continued writing essays, giving speeches, and encouraging all Chinese women to be actively engaged. She opened a community center that offered a health clinic, vocational training, and kindergarten to Chinese. She believed that we as a society could do better. The laws that disenfranchised people, that allowed and promoted discrimination, that treated some as less than, these laws were written by elected officials. That is why it is critical that we vote. We must vote to ensure that we are recognized, that we are represented. We must vote to ensure that our values are enshrined in the laws that govern our land.
Thank you, Audrey. Now we're going to go to Sue DeGree, former Pacifica City Council member.
Good morning, everybody. The 19th ratification of the 19th Amendment was momentous. And it was momentous because, as you heard and as you know, getting to that point was extremely difficult. Freedom isn't free then, it isn't free now. There's a lot of sacrifice, pain, and yes, even death that went through to get us to today where we can cast a vote. The power of vote, the voting, the power, it is a power. It's a duty and a right, and it's a definite power because it enables us as a community to move forward, to push for that pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness for all, for all. It's not easy. It's never easy. Misinformation was around then. Misinformation is around now. Nastiness was around then. Nastiness is around now. Maybe the biggest threat we have in our modern century is that many lose heart. Misinformation, nastiness, confusion of all kind is very difficult. People get discouraged. People feel that one vote does not matter. The truth of the matter is, though, that we need to help people. We need to show them where to go to find real data and to sit back and think. There are many opportunities in this county to find things, and God bless the League of Women Voters. They have always been there to help us to know what's going on in an unbiased way. So the power of one vote in many instances has been very effective, but very much so for the 19th Amendment, because the ratification of the 19th Amendment wouldn't have happened, would not have happened if one 24-year-old male did not vote. He changed his vote because, remember, this is 1920. Thank you, Postal. The letter arrived from his mom. So there you have a senior lady, not able to vote, but advocating like crazy. She said, don't forget the ladies. So he changed his vote. One vote got us the privilege of being here in 2020 to cast that vote. So let's make this a momentous vote. Not only that, the challenges of 2020 to get the vote out, to educate each other, to encourage each other is momentous. And our time, the time to get it done is so much shorter. So we got to get going. And God bless you all.
Thank you, Sue. Last but not least, Linda Kelling, former member of the Foster City City Council.
Well, Sue DeGree must have looked up the same information as I did. But I'm so grateful to be a part of this very special day to celebrate such an important part of our nation's history. You know, the 19th Amendment didn't give us just the right to vote, but it allowed a door to be open for women to run for office. You know, after women gained the right to vote, the presence of women in Congress gradually increased since 1920. And today, women are increasingly participating in politics as they should, mostly at the local levels of government, and we'd like to see more. In fact, you can contact the Women's Community Leadership Network. We'll help you along. I just wanted to let everybody know I was only the third woman to serve in my city as mayor and councilwoman. Honoring the suffrage movement should encourage young women to register and for all women to vote. We are warriors and have been provided with a very important tool and a gateway to be more involved. And that same history lesson that Sue just shared was so very important, because on that historic day in 1920, we know now it almost didn't happen because of that young state legislator, his name was Harry Byrne. And when his mother sent him a letter and said, you better vote for this because of Carrie Chapman Catt, she was one of the great suffragists along with Susan B. Anthony. And with his change of vote, it was the launching for American women to have that vote. This campaign had been going on for 72 years prior to 1920. So this has been going on a long time. And in fact, Carrie Chapman Catt wrote in her book of the legislator, she said he invoked the fury of his peers while changing that vote, but he avoided that of his mother's. Which one was going to be worse? So you see, one vote did matter. And if you cherish freedom, it's your responsibility to continue to vote for it. As President Reagan said, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We're blessed with many opportunities in this country, and one of them is the right to vote. Don't waste this opportunity. For the young people, register now and vote. This is a very important election. And maybe listen to your mother too. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Linda. And we have to go. Vote in November. Happy Women's Equality Day. And to the women who were here this morning, thank you so much for your great leadership and your great thoughts. And don't forget to vote in November, folks. Bye-bye.